Hope so. Sorry for the disturbance. Actually, sorry everyone. Actually, I can't able to record, but now maybe the storage issue is there. But I can able to record now. So I'm sharing my screen. We start with the uh, discussion. I don't want to waste anyone's time. Okay, so let's start discussing. So what I will cover today. So two things I will cover. Uh, First thing is that for the second week, there are some doubts also that even I also feel that the answer were given into the assignment. It's maybe not correct. So we'll discuss the things. And for the week 3, obviously I will directly not cover all the answers for this week 3 session or any assignment question, but I will cover the portion of week 3 where these assignment questions are from which it was asked. So for week 2 I will give the solution, and for the week 3 we'll see the concept which will be helpful for you to solve the week 3 all the assignment questions. And maybe week 3 is too much easy, all the theoretical questions are there. So let's go then. So again I am giving my introduction. So my name is Bhavik, and if you want to have any doubt or anything regarding these lectures or something, so you can note it down, this mail ID and mobile number. So this is my WhatsApp number also. If you want to ask me any doubt or something, you can ask me on WhatsApp or mail. And other thing, I just want to tell you that I am not a part of the course which is taken care by the IIT Guwahati. I am from the IIT Madras, so I am not directly connected with the professor and his TA, who are actually setting the assignments and who are releasing the answers. So we are 2v2 people are just helping you for understanding the concept and solving any kind of this problem is there in your assignment solving. And if you can draw any attention to us, so we can also directly just contact to the professor if we will find some thing which will be not aligned with the concepts or what. So just we start with the week 2 session, and I will touch important topic, and not all the topics I will discuss. I discuss the assignment and its solution in the second week. This is a biomass, and third week is a biorefinery. So in the first week itself, last time we saw that there are many different kind of analysis of history, with data analysis we saw, where we understand that why these energy sources have this many volatility in their consumption, and why it is has so many variation in the place to place, and why this biomass is important, how can we implement it, and so and so. So in the second week we'll just focus more on the biomass. And if we talk about the biomass, so if you can see here that biomass here mainly in the whole second and third chapter we understanding that from where we are getting this biomass. So what are the feedstocks for this our biomass? There are many applications obviously. So one is the energy crops. So these are the crops which we just use it or grown just because of getting that energy from these crops as a using as a biomass, or we can directly use as a wood. So generally these kind of crops are not into the much more into the our food chain, but we are planting them or we are growing them because of the application into the energy and extraction of energy. Then other thing is the forest waste. Obviously we have in India, and we have a very large amount of forest which will be much more major part of the whole Asia's forest. And afforestation is going on in our India, which is like we are developing our forest. It like other than that, Europe and US is uh, reducing its forest part, but we are increase our forest, so it will be helpful in our future. So agro-industrial waste. So obviously this is as India is wholly depend on the agriculture. So maybe we have the industries also for this agriculture to be processed, as well as some substitutes which we are using the agriculture. So that's why we have agro industries also, and agriculture is also there. And municipal solid waste, all the big cities have the uh, tons and tons amount of dumping waste which we can use for the energy. Now if we talk about the sources, the same sources, we can see that one is a sewage or another is a municipal solid waste, animal residue, industrial residue, and forestry. Now there are questions on the photosynthesis in the second week. We'll not go to the detail on each and every topic of the second week, but if you, and I am also telling you that I am not following the specific numbering from the assignments. Like I am solving the first question first, second question second. I am not following this that sequence. I am following the sequence from which professor explain us the details. So first he start with the biomass. After that he switch to the photosynthesis. The second topic is in if you see his video or if you go to his material, then the second topic is photosynthesis. So I just took the photosynthesis in the second discussion, and I'm following the whole as a discussion as how professor took it. And in between whatever the questions came, we can we just again discuss it on that answers, and we can go to the next part after that. So the photosynthesis, we all know that it's there in from fourth and fifth standard chemistry. That in science, maybe if you're not chemistry, but we have science, in that it is always there that plants are responsible to use carbon dioxide for the photosynthesis application, where they use carbon dioxide in the presence of light and water, and they have chlorophyll into it. So whatever the green color we are getting from the plant, it is because of chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is made out of the iron, sorry, magnesium. And you will see chemical structure of, if you just want to see, so this kind of chemical structure is there for the chlorophyll. It is much more complex, we don't want to go to the much detail, but we, in the presence of chlorophyll, what plant does, it took the light, carbon dioxide, water, and converted into this carbon dioxide, and whatever the organic material, organic part, it's there in the form of starch and fiber, into part it converted into the form of glucose. And the reaction is somewhat like this: carbon dioxide in the presence of a water molecule converted into the glucose and oxygen. So this is a common reaction. And as you can see that because of this, it is very much important for the carbon dioxide capture, sequester, if you can say, and you can get the glucose as well as oxygen, which this is a very important process. Now what are the questions came from this? So this is my opinion. I am not telling that the solution is right or wrong, but what I understand or what I am thinking, I am telling you. So in the photosynthesis, this is the slide which professor showed. In that in the photosynthesis process, he divided this process into the two different reaction. One is a light reaction, another is a dark reaction. So first of all, what is a light reaction and dark reaction? So some one part of the reaction in this photosynthesis, it's using the sunlight. So sunlight is as a catalyst. So that reaction he mentioned as a light reaction. Another is a dark reaction, where this, if you want to take care of this part, then the second part doesn't require sunlight to be present. So what they will do, in the light reaction, the water molecule will be splitted into the hydrogen and oxygen under the influence of chlorophyll. So using a sunlight. So this is a light reaction. It is a photochemical phase. We all know that solar water splitting, for if you want to produce hydrogen from water, then also we can use this uh, this photochemical or electrolysis reaction, where we use the sunlight, or we use the electrolysis, where water can be splitted into the hydrogen and oxygen. That reaction is taking place. In another is a dark reaction, where this hydrogen what we got from the first reaction is transferred to the CO2 to form starch and sugar, and it is a biochemical phase. Now, so there is a question in the assignment, that which of the following is true for the dark reaction and photosynthesis. So the answer may be people thinking that in the dark reaction only H2 is transferred to CO2 to form starch and starch to sugar, starch or sugar. That is the only part. If we consider the dark reaction and light reaction separately, then the answer may be only the B is the answer. But sorry, A and B both are A is a biochemical process that is also mentioned in the dark reaction. So this A and B, both A and B are the answer for the second assignment question. So it will be fine, it's easy. But if you talk about the one another question which came from the light reaction at which is a number 7 question, which of the following is true for the light reaction in photosynthesis process. Now if you can see that it's a biochemical process is for the dark reaction, and it has hydrogen is transferred to CO2 from starch to or sugar, that is also comes into the dark reaction. But in light reaction only splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen may be the only answer, but it is in the solution it is mentioned that all of the above. So according to me, if you split it out the reaction, then for the dark reaction these 2 points needs to be covered, and in the first reaction if it is photochemical it is mentioned, it is not mentioned in the question. But splitting of water molecule is mentioned, so splitting of water molecule can be the answer. So here it is mentioned all of the above. So anyway, we will initiate uh, to a message on mail to the professor or maybe TA from this subject, say, through our NPTEL office, that why it's discrepancies between the answers. So according to me also, someone asking me yesterday that which may be the answer. So according to me, the splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen can be the answer, because it is only considered for the light reaction. So hope so everyone got it. And but we'll still confirm from the professor that whether is there any other reason behind it. And if you just saw to the if you watch to the what professor told yesterday in his lectures, so in the light reaction the splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen is happening under the influence of chlorophyll sunlight that we mentioned here, and the other is the dark reaction is only transferred carbon dioxide to form starch or sugar, and it is a biochemical process. So according to him, this may be the answer, but it is mentioned all of the above. So we'll discuss it with his TA. Now, if we go to the next topic of this biomass, then he after this photosynthesis, he switched to the biomass composition. So mainly biomass composition, biomass consists five different element into it. One is a cellulose, another is a hemicellulose, lignin, some volatiles or extractive materials, and S. There are some questions based on this information also. So out of these, cellulose is the most abundant and most prominent biopolymer available. So what is it? If someone asking you what is a cellulose, then you have to mention that it is a polysaccharide. Now understand this thing. If you talk about the sugar, glucose, one thing is glucose, another is fructose. These two are the monosaccharide as per our chemistry knowledge. So these are the monosaccharides, they have the only one molecule. If you just go to the sucrose from this, if you just add both of these, then you will get the sucrose, which is a sugar, C12H22O11. So this is a disaccharide, H22O11. But if you go to the, if you just understand the configuration of cellulose, then it is a polymer, it is a biopolymer. So that's why you can if you don't go to the detail, these are some O and H are there, so it is like this. So that's why it is a polysaccharide. If someone is asking you a question, then you to keep in your mind that glucose and fructose are the monosaccharide, they have only one unit of sugar, or you can say C6H12O6. Then when you combine both of them, you will get the sucrose, C12H22O11. This is disaccharide. And we talk about the cellulose, then it is a polysaccharide. There are chain of this glucose molecules come together, or fructose molecule comes together. So maybe just want to just want to Yeah. So other than that, if you see the chemical composition of biomass, then this is a roughly data that cellulose is around 32.36.8. If you talk about hemicellulose, then 21.1 to 22.66. Lignin is there. Extractive, as we discussed, lignin is around on an average 18 to 20%. 20, and S is there and extractives are there. So this is already this mentioned by the professor. Now there are some questions on the basis of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, which we'll see. So first of all, you understand what is a cellulose or what is a hemicellulose. So if you just see that I told you, mention you that if you have the long chain of glucose, then it is known as a cellulose. So this is how it is looks like. It is more than that. If you just see the biopolymer of glucose, which is known as a cellulose, it has thousands and thousands of glucose molecules come together. If we talk about a hemicellulose, now you can see that in glucose you have almost 6 oxygen is there inside it. But if you see the some material which are deform some structure from the this glucose molecule, and still they are in the form of uh, biopolymer. They are a long chain of different polymers, but they don't have the glucose in it, then it is known as a hemicellulose. So where sometimes it is a pentoses means 5 carbon molecules with 5 carbon are there, xylose and ribose. If you have hexoses, they have 6 carbon molecule like glucose, but it's actually not glucose. It is made out of the mannose, galactose, and sometimes glucose also. But it is not only glucose. The main thing is it's hemicellulose. It's not only consists glucose, it consists many different kind of molecules. But if you talk about cellulose, it's only consists glucose. So this is just for information. It will be not there into the maybe subject directly affected, but yeah, if you want to understand the things. Now lignin. So lignins are majorly some alcohol molecules or alcohol molecules with some benzene ring connected to it. So this is known as a lignins. So coniferal alcohol, picomeryl alcohol, and cineapyl alcohol. So this kind of molecules are comes under lignin. Now if you see that biomass has, if you just go to the macroscopic structure, then biomass, if you just go for the biomass cell, and then in the cell, this is a whole cell. If you just zoom it out the cell, then in this you can clearly see the some some extractive materials are there which has a bigger size. So you will first get to know the about the extractives. Again you will zoom it, then you can see that microfibers. So microfibers are the small fibers in the micro range, 10 to power minus 6 meter, and they are the fibrous materials. And from this, if you can see them on the microfibers, there are lignins are there. At the same time, hemicellulose and cellulose may be also there. But so this is a microfiber structure, and if you go to the center part, then you will find the cellulose, and the lignin are this. So this is just for your information. So just now we went to the question on this. So due to the dash structure of hemicellulose, it is a significantly more susceptible to hydrolysis than cellulose. So which kind of structure is there hemicellulose? So in the professor's discussion it is mentioned, if you just read the part of the hemicellulose, so he started with the cellulose, and the second part he described as a hemicellulose. So it is also mentioned that it is a amorphous heteropolymer comprised of several different carbohydrates. So first of all, heteropolymer means it's maybe there are two kind of polymers, you know, all maybe no, no, don't know, I don't know, but one is a homopolymer. So it has the same kind of molecules come together, and another is a hetero. So in the heteropolymer you will find the different kind of monomers are there. So suppose homopolymer is this all same kind of polymers come together, and you can tell is a homopolymer. And if you see that A is combined with B, and again A, then C, and A, and A, any kind of random configuration is there, but it is not the same molecule, then we can say that it is a heteropolymer. Okay, so that's why it is first a heteropolymers. Another thing is amorphous. So what is the amorphous? So we all know that if you see the solid part, then uh, if you go to the configuration of the solid, then it may be the crystalline solid, like if you have salt or if you have sugar, so you will see that all crystals are available inside your sugar. But if you give it a heat, then some it start melting. So in the melting it makes some slurry or some jelly kind of thing. It is known as the amorphous state of the solid. All these things are maybe you all know, but I just want to make sure that if you have any doubt you can clear it over here. So that's why it is an amorphous heteropolymer, and due to this structure it is significantly more susceptible to hydrolysis. How? First of all, if it is a crystalline structure, then you know that crystalline structure is whole as a, it is in the whole structure packing form. But once you are giving the heat, then it is coming into the uh, uh, semi liquid or liquid form. Then it's very easy to react with the water. Once if you add with the water and do the hydrolysis, then you will easily, because this bond in between interconnected bonds will be weaker, and you will easily react that with OH, react that OH with our H2O molecule. So that's why it very easy because of its amorphous nature. So you need to understand this thing. And so cellulose and hemicellulose combined with the third major component of the biomass, that is a lignin. Now we have some question on lignin also. So make up about 90% of lingocellulosic biomass and 80% of herbaceous biomass. So we are combined with the lignin, and once if you talk about the three major molecules like cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin, then 90% of all the three are in the lingocellulose biomass. And if you have some biomass which has a herbaceous, which we'll see in the next some slides, or you already saw in the videos, then 80% of mass is combined with these three molecules. Now we'll go to the question on lignin. So effect of lignin content of the biomass on the accessibility of the cellulose microfibrils to degradative enzymes will be. Now here again I am, according to me, it should be not like that. That first is you need to understand. I will show you in the next slide what is the actual mechanism. So lignin content of the biomass on the accessibility of the cellulose microfibers. So suppose this is our microfibers are there, cellulose, and above it we have the lignin. So this is our lignin, and this is our microfiber, let's say. So if you have more microfiber, then it is difficult to access this cellulose if you have more lignin above these microfibers, then for the enzymes which we are using, degradative enzymes are the enzymes which we are using, which can react with the biomass, and we'll get the final product, biofuel or any kind of fuels or any different products. So if these enzymes will come, suppose this is an enzyme, if it will come, it is, if it lignin is there, then it is very difficult for this enzyme to react with these microfibers. So that's why we have to remove the lignin content, or we have to reduce the lignin content, then it easily can react with the microfibers. So that's why the more the lignin content, it's very difficult to react with the microfibers. If you have less lignin content, then easily can react. It is visibly also we can understand. But the answer is it mentioned as a directly proportional. So same in this question also, I have also doubt. I don't know. According to me, this may be the inversely proportional is the right answer. But let's see if you can hear something from the um, uh, professor or TA from this course. So actually TA means there are two kind of TAs in any kind of NPTEL course. One is who is working with the professors and who are responsible for the deciding exams, assignments, and who are helping him for arranging each and everything. And another is a TA like us. We are not working with professor and we are not directly contact with him, but we are here to just help you. We are taking the lectures, and we are also not getting anything from this. We are just taking the lectures so that you also get to know how this assignments needs to be solved and how this course, and if you have doubt, you can you don't have any access to talk with the TS, with the professors or directly with professor, so you can ask us and maybe we'll try our best to solve that out. And if you can't able to do, then we can ask to the professor. So here it is, in his topic also it is mentioned that first, if you talk about the lignin, then it is a intricate array of aromatic alcohols and it is intertwined with the cellulose. You have to consider this word, intertwined with the cellulose. Means it is properly with the cellulose and hemicellulose fraction of the biomass structure. So it is not like that we have cellulose at separate place and lignin at separate. It is connected and intertwined totally with this hemicellulose and cellulose. So this interwoven nature of the lignin helps provide rigidity to ligocellulose materials. So you can understand this is a fibrous kind of material or something. So this lignin will be help to join this all the fibers. We have so many fibers in trees, suppose, but if we use a lignin, then it can able to join and tightly bound these molecules. So that's why lignin is intertwined material. And here it is directly mentioned in the professor's slides also. That is why there is a need to delignify, basically remove lignin, so that cellulose and hemicellulose may be released from the interlinking bond that was present previously. So this bond is too much important when it is in the part of as a part of tree, but when we are using as a biomass, we need to remove this bond, we need to remove the lignin, so we'll get the cellulose and hemicellulose and we can convert it into our product. So we have to remove the lignin so that cellulose will be more accessible for the hydrolysis purpose. So same answer needs to be go here, according to me. Lignin content of the biomass on the accessibility of the cellulose microfiber to degrade the enzyme will be inversely proportional. We have more lignin, then we can't get this access to the cellulose. So according to me, this inversely proportional the answer. If anyone also think the same, you can drop a message, or you can, if you have another answer that no directly proportional is the right, so you can discuss with me currently if you want to discuss. But for me, inversely proportional, maybe the answer is that only. Okay, so how it is taking place? So as I told you, these are the fibers. Yeah, thanks. So no worries, we can also talk with professor if some communication is taken place, so in the answers or what. So these are the fibers. Okay, so in these fibers we have this lignin material is there. So these fibers are made out of the cellulose and hemicellulose. So because of this lignin, suppose if some enzymic mechanism is happened, then it is this lignin is difficult barrier in between the fibers and this enzyme material. So what we have to do, we have to remove the lignin. So sometimes what we do, we converted the lignin into the lignin derived compounds, various compound, and after that you can see that you will find the more amount of fibers directly contact with our cellular activity with our enzymes, and we can directly get the glucose and more materials. So how these things actually taken place, it is mentioned in this figure. Now let's go to the next one. This is a very easy question. So anthropogenic S in the biomass mainly consists of what? There are 5. First of all, you always remember that in biomass we have cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, some extracted materials. We have many chemical compounds which are differently. That's why that known as extracted material. Some, and at the end S content is always there. So when professor explained this topic, there's anthropogenic S is there. So here it is mentioned that what is the first for anthropogenic, or if anthropogenically means man-made, it's artificial. Okay, so in biomass, how this when we are growing the biomass, when we are doing the processing, so in that phase we get that this silica or S will be go inside. So it is already mentioned, so it is getting added from the outside, it is not present inside the biomass. Obviously it is not any chance that tree produce this S for this for its own purpose. From outside only, due to man-made activities, human processing and all, in the presence of humans, that will get this S get added. So intrinsic S include materials like calcium and potassium ions, while there are two different kind of mentioned. That one is a intrinsic S. So that kind of S is like from the silica, or if you go to the S molecule inside, then it is made out of the calcium and potassium ion. Why anthropogenic S is mostly silica. So anthropogenic, we are thinking about talking about the man-made S. So man-made S is mostly silica, which is coming from out. If it is some S is made into the biomass, then it should be from calcium or potassium. Okay, so we also have bonds of calcium in our body. If these bonds are uh, got degraded and converted into the S or some small particles, then it can made out of the calcium and potassium. It needs to be in the plant also, it needs to be calcium potassium. But if it is anthropogenic, then it's from the silica. So silica is coming into the picture. How it is coming? It is added from the harvesting or many different ways. So this is the question. It's easy. Another is, which continent have biomass as the largest renewable energy source? Africa, obviously. So as a in while explaining the topics, professor also explained that biomass availability and how much abundance it is. So it is mentioned that this is some in some continents. If we talk about India, then India, this much biomass is not used, is in for, obviously we have agricultures and all the waste and everything are there, but we are and even our crops are, we are using it for as our food chain. So that's why we are not using our biomass as a energy source. But okay, someone raise hand. Yeah, you can ask any question if you want to ask. Is there someone raised hand? Okay, I thought it. Anyway, so what we talk about? Yeah, so in India, whatever the agriculture we are getting, most of them are consumed during okay, okay, so most of them got consumed by as a in the food chain. But if you talk about some areas like USA, and they have surplus production of the agriculture, surplus production of the biomass, then if you talk about the Africa, then Africa, you can understand Africa is a most underdeveloped region till now. Currently the development is still going, but it is still not developed. So what they are doing in that, people mostly use wood or other sources for getting the energy. They are using some biomass which is there in the form of jungle or some desert. They are using it in the for extracting the energy. That's why the Africa, in the Africa region, biomass is the major source of their energy. So here you see that Africa total exajoule of energy they are using, that 17 is the there. Out of that 16.3, more than 90% comes from, you can say exactly 96% comes from the biomass itself. You talk about Americas, because Americas also has Amazon forest, and so rainforest, and California and other places there was very deep forest are there. And out of that they are even the America is a developed country, so they are have the solid waste in the very big amount, so they can convert the biomass from that the biomass energy. I need to let him come. Okay. Yeah. So that's why in America also the biomass percentage of the whole total energy is much more severe. If you talk about Europe and same, everywhere if you see that biomass percentage is more than 50% of their total exajoule of energy. But just if you just talk about Africa, then it's more than 96%. So this answer is like come from this. So whosoever just joined, so we discuss some problems, and I'm just going in the flow of what professor taught. I am not solving one by one all the question. So already you have the answer, but in these two questions have some problem. So according to me, you can go to the recorded version, and one is a one is a lignin is inversely proportional, and another problem is where in the light photosynthesis reaction it is not all of above, it is just the water splitting from hydrogen to oxygen. Just just people joined here, so I told it. Other than that, if you want to go for more discussion, you can go for the recorded version. Now, virgin biomass production and selection. After that, this is one important topic which is this in this chapter, in this week discussion. So, what are the important factors and how we can go for the virgin biomass production, and some important factors affecting it. The one is the insolation. So, what is the insolation? It is nothing but it is the intensity of the incident solar radiations. So in the layman language, it is a whatever amount of light we are receiving from the sun, or whatever the radiation we are directly receiving from the sun from sun, or obviously what is the incident radiation we are receiving from the solar system itself, but majorly it comes from the sun. And the intensity of this, it's known as the insolation, as it is not evenly distributed to the earth. So it is depends on the space to space and location to location. If you just consider the tropical region or equator region, then it is a very high, and if you just go to the north pole or south pole, you will not find the sun. Or if you not find this radiation or intensity of radiation so much high. So that's why it is also one important factor. And if you see, if you can't able to see the table, then it is the same table which professor used. So in the equator, the highest amount of sun intensity you will get. In the tropical region is also you will get somewhat the more amount. But if you go for the polar circle and from the mid earth, then the intensity will be lower down. So that is why insolation is important. Why is important? To production of the biomass. If you want to produce the, suppose you go to the north pole or south pole, if you go to the deserted area, where deserted area will get this insolation very high, but you will not find the other important minerals and all. So in this kind of area, you are not able to produce more amount of biomass. So that's why you have to be understand that for producing the biomass, we required not only insolation, there are some other parts also, precipitation and all, but it is in the evenly distributed. If it is not there, then you will not find a good amount of biomass production. The second is the precipitation. So from this one equation is also came. So precipitation is a normal, in the normal word it is a rain, or somewhere in the Europe, or if you talk about the Canada or Russia, then it is the snow. So snow is eventually converted into the water, and it will be used as a harvesting purpose mainly. But you can see the precipitation is the important factor. Why? Because we required to grow our biomass, to produce our biomass, we require a sufficient amount of water. So that's why it is also depends on the atmospheric temperature and the conditions in the governed by the movement of air. So somewhere in India you will find all the seasons are coming, but in other western parts, or if you go to the some countries like Russia in eastern part, there you will not find the separate seasons of winter, summer as well as monsoon. So whereas there are only two seasons, extreme winter and somewhat less winter or less cold, which is known as the summer for them. But if you see that in precipitation is much more important. So precipitation is annual requirement of the, for good growth of biomass, for the good production of the biomass, the precipitation is required in the range of 50 centimeter to 76 centimeter. You can remember this thing. So if it is more than that, then it will be detrimental to the biomass. If it is low, obviously you can't produce much if you have lower than this. So some crops such as a wheat exhibit good growth and with much less water. So if you just see, one is a rice and another is a wheat. So rice we require too much amount of water, while wheat require a very less amount of water for the growth. So this is depends on the biomass to biomass also. But without irrigation, water is supplied during the growing season by the water in the soil. So we need to do the, if we are not get directly precipitation, we have to supply the water from outside. But there is one efficiency which we have to consider, which is known as a efficiency or water use efficiency, or efficiency of utilizing the water. So it is a question is like that, how it is defined. So it is actually ratio of the biomass accumulation to the water consumed expressed as a transpiration or the total water input to the system. So first of all, you have to understand ratio of, it is a ratio. So biomass accumulation to the water consumed. So where the, if you consider the land, so in particular land, so what is the biomass accumulation is there. So what is amount of biomass is got produced in this particular land, as and divided by to the total water input to the system. So total water, how much it got input and how much is used by the biomass, you can is simply converted like this. So biomass accumulation to the water consumed. So it's if you go to the third factor, then it is a temperature, and the most of the biomass species don't require very high temperature. So it may be 15.6 to 20 to 32.3 degrees centigrade. And it is you don't have to go for much below to 15 also. So but some grass will be near to the 15 degrees, but most of the biomass will be used this 15.6 to 32.3 degrees range to grow itself. But if you go for the very warm seasons, so some only very cactus or some kind of biomass or plant can survive. Otherwise, if you go to very cool weather, only some kind of biomass algae can survive. So this is one also important factor: temperature, precipitation, as well as uh, uh, insolation. So it is the intensity of solar. Now, after that, one topic is the municipal solid waste. So we know that in major part of the India, major cities we have the very large amount of tons of the solid waste in everyday uses is there. So municipal commission is what for, there are many ways in the most of the, if you talk about the bigger cities like metro cities, so then this municipal solid waste is going to the landfill sites or the dumping sites. Out of it, some is also going for the incineration process, but even at the end it is not properly converted into the fruitful product, you can see. But at the same time, it is very difficult also. So as if you go some time, or if you just watch videos of the dumping site or landfill sites, and they have the this municipal solid waste comes along with all different kind of plastics, different kind of biodegradable, non-biodegradable materials, clothes, even some food waste and all, everything come together. Then it is very difficult to segregate it out and use it in convert into the final biomass based bioproducts. So that's why it is very difficult challenge also. So if you have separate it out from the source itself, then it's easy. But if you see that in Europe and or major countries started using this municipal solid waste for into the many important products, and India also started with some plastic recycle base and some kind of solid, but all of our municipal solid waste is not getting converted into some fruitful products. So if you see that biomass MSW is with the help of valorizing chemical reaction, we can convert into the biochar. Biochar is the charcoal, which is a activated charcoal. It can be used as a biochar subsurface for the phytoremediation. Means sometimes if you can use it for the growing another biomass, you can use it for the soil fertilizer, you can use for the uh, richet treatment in the barricades and phytocapping. These are some terminology. If you don't understand, then better we will not go inside, but yeah, you can convert it into the biochar and there are many applications of it. Other than that, if you have the different kind of waste, if you just see not only MSW, but if you have forest, all the different kind of biomass, agriculture, forestry, cattle, and industrial waste, then you can convert it into the due to fermentation process, you can convert it into the biogas. It's a very simple, which we understand in our school, primary school physics, primary school science, that all this kind of waste we can put it in the we store it in the presence of some microorganism or bacteria, then it can convert it into the fertilizer, and you will get methane gas out of it. So that methane gas is known as a biomethane, or sometimes other gas molecules are also there, that all it can be used as an energy source, which you can use for the transportation fuels as well as electricity. Now if you just talk about the MSW, then this is the how it is looks like. But if you have all the similar kind of if you just segregate and use it, then worldwide 5% is converted into the inorganic material from this MSW. Major part of this MSW is biomass pellets, which is converted into biomass pellet, and from this biomass pellets, it's like, as you can see, they converted into the pellets, and now you have to just extract the energy out of it, so you can use it as a source of fuel. Like we are using coal, or we are using the gas, nature gas, we can use this into the our different boilers to get the energy out of it. 20% is in the form of the synthetic oil or fuel is using it, but in this synthetic oil is too much expensive currently, so it is not that much easily commercialized to replace our gasoline or petrol and diesel. Other than that, 5% is going to the recycle whatever we have, and 20% is going into the water. This is a worldwide scenario particular. And if we talk about the now, there is one questions based on the biomass as an energy resources. Now biomass in this particular second week discussion, the whole lecture is on the different kind of energy crops and how it is useful for our biomass, and how much it is important, and how much lignin content, cellulose content is there. So we'll not go into the details for that one, but yeah, so biomass is mainly converted into the two part. If we talk about, one is a dedicated energy crops which we are using as just we develop a grow that kind of crop just for getting the extracting the energy out of it. So one is a fuel wood, and fuel wood also has a hardwood and softwood. Another is a herbaceous. Herbaceous has some grain and oil crops, and as well as perennial grasses. So this is maybe the question. So which of the following crops are classified as herbaceous crops? Perennial grass and the grain oil crops. Other than that, most of the agriculture which we are using in our food chain, it has a residues and waste. That residue and waste, even that agriculture, not just only agriculture, we have the forestry, we have the municipal waste and all. So it can again convert into agriculture residue, which is a crop derived and livestock derived. We have the municipal discards in the food processing and waste landfills, wastewater, and wood residue is wood we are using the woods as a furniture production, but it has some residues which we can use and mill it, and we can use it for the extracting energy out of it. So this question is solved like this. After that, if you just see that I just meant, so most of the my slides, if I just want to refer the some assignment problem or some the topic where you will find the answer of assignment. If we talk about, now we'll switch to the week 3 discussion. So here that I will not solve the any kind of assignment problem, I will just mention some slides where from where you will get this answer of your assignments if you still not get it. So most of the slides I am not using the professor slides, but where I have to show that it is where from answer where it is coming, and how you can use this slide for getting your answer. From that purpose only I am using the professor slides. So here you see that this is, that's why this is not a one of your professor slides. So this I found details from the internet. So dedicated fish stocks as the sugar crops, which is sugar beet and sugar cane. Starch crops from which starch is a prominent part, which is a wheat, corn, and sweet sorghum. We have lignocellulosic crops which has the lignin as well as cellulose in a large amount, which is a wood, majorly wood and grass kind of biomass. Oil-based crops, we have all know the jatropha, rapeseed, soy, palm oil. Grasses, we have some green plant materials, the grass silage, immature cereals. Marine biomass, which have the algae and seaweed. If you go for the residue, then oil-based residue is there, animal fat from the food industry, cooking oil from restaurants, lignocellulosic residue, which is a obviously agriculture residue, organic residue, which is a urban waste or municipal waste, and some in the industrial waste also. Now, so dedicated crop. So if you see that for the particular dedicated crop kind of energy scenario, energy produce from the dedicated crop, then the Finland and Sweden is the as the highest users, and then comes from the after that it is followed by the Austria. Why? If you just want to know the reason, then Finland and Sweden, or even if you talk about the Norway, this kind of region where winter period is too much, in the major part of the year is spent into the low cold temperature, and period is much more higher. And other than that, they are not finding the winds as well as sun as their renewable energy sources, but they have this human waste, and they can able to rely on some forest based and some agriculture based biomass. So that's why they converted this and for biomass into the energy, and worldwide they have the very that's why they are coming on the large production of the biomass. Otherwise, if you see that Finland, Sweden is not the big countries, they are the small countries. If you see the whole Europe, still Europe is only 3.5%, while USA and Europe both are lower. But this some countries are, because you know that currently that's most of the countries are independent for their energy needs, and they are not dependent on the others. So currently we saw that Russia and Ukraine war, due to that many of the European countries are out of the energy. So that's why many of the countries started to develop their own independency in the energies. Now let's go. So I not want to go to the detail. So first, two things I just want to discuss, which is important for the western part. If you talk about the US, Brazil, Latin America, and other countries, so most of their biomass conversion is from the corn, because they are not using wheat and rice that much. They are all using, but it is not that much prominent in their food chain. So they are using corn. So corn stalks, if you are using, then you have to first, these are the procedure. First they have to crush it, and then first you need to remove the lignin, what we discussed. So they have to come react with some chemical, and in particular temperature and pressure, the lignin will get removed. Then you have to separate the cellulose out of it, and whatever the lignin you got after hydrolysis, you have to just separate it out. And whatever the cellulose you get in the cellulose, you have to do the hydrogenolysis or hydrogenation in the simple term. But the hydrogenolysis, while we are using the hydrogen, and before that you have to first convert it into the EG. So EG is the ethylene glycol, nothing else. So first cellulose is converted into ethylene glycol. Then from ethylene glycol is a C, uh, here OH and OH, CH2, CH2. Now first the cellulose is converted into this, because cellulose has this COH bond, COH, again it is connected with the COH kind of thing, whole. So first it converted into ethylene glycol, and ethylene glycol converted into ethanol, and from finally ethanol you have to purify it by using the distillation process, and this ethanol you can use it as a fuel. So this is a professor suggested, and I am elaborate the process. So construct, we are going to the separation of different first part of the corn, flower, stem, and cob and husk. Then it's diluted with the acid, and then we'll get the ethanol at the end. So the important part in this second week discussion is also is the Jatropha oil life cycle, because Jatropha oil, why it is not being used that much, or why it is not that much popular. So the answer is, so the whole process of Jatropha life cycle is too much high. It will take so much amount of year to convert it into the fully mature plant, and from that plant it will come with the fruits, and from fruits you have to take out the seeds, and from seeds you will get the oil. So it is a very tedious process, and extraction of oil is not that much easy, and for if you at the end you will get the biofuel out of it, biodiesel mainly from Jatropha. It is for extracting that diesel you have to invest a lot amount of money, that's why. Now the important thing is, just I touched this topic, moisture content in different biomass. Agriculture biomass and forest biomass has typically larger moisture content than the fossil fuels. So, and if you talk about the different energy sources, then agriculture biomass has a wheat straw, corn straw, palm kernel, poplar and willow. So this kind of different, mostly you will see this some poplar, willow kind of, it is not that much familiar to us, because mainly western world is using biomass to getting energy. India and China is still not using that much biomass to get, but in the future, when will highly depend on the renewable, then it is, we will go to the more biomass utilization into the energy production. So you can see that even agriculture also, there are various different source. It will come from the forest biomass, it will from the briquettes and chips and pellets they are forming from the wood industries, and fossil fuels as a coal, conventional fuels. Now I think yeah, one more question is there from this. So first of this is a very big classification of biomass from generation. So you can see, so food crop if you are using, that is the first generation biomass. So it is a feedstocks from corn, wheat, oilseeds and different energy crops, and the products are biodiesel, bioethanol, bioether, solid biofuels. This is you, if you want to remember which kind of feedstocks will get which kind of products. If you use lignocellulose feedstock, lignocellulosic feedstock is like non-food crops, waste products from the agriculture, citrus, peel or cotton. Then the products are the cellulosic ethanol, biohydrogen, biomethane and microdiesel. If you go with the microalgae, so these are the some example, you don't need to remember, but the products from the microalgae is the biodiesel, bioethanol, biomethane, biohydrogen. If you go for the fourth generation, so first generation is it first started using, people started using these food crops into the biomass first, then lignocellulosic feedstock came into the picture, then microalgae, and at the end genetically engineered microorganisms. So we are using the genetically engineered feedstocks with some microorganism, and we'll get the uh, products like biodiesel and bioethanol. So as you can see here, the third generation foodstock is the microalgae, and if you provide the CO2 from the atmosphere, or this is a CO2 it took, and it make out of the full cycle of CO2, and it can able to remove the CO2 from the atmosphere during and from its combustion. And then as you can see, in the presence of water and CO2, using photosynthesis, microalgae doing the same thing which the crops are doing. And if you this is a enhancing the biomass properties for biofuel. So if you want to use the biomass into the biofuel, so sometimes we want to get more power. Suppose we are using the kerosene first as a fuel, suppose, and then we can go to the petrol and diesel. Why we are switching out the petrol and diesel? Kerosene, if you just more purify the kerosene, then we'll get the petrol and sorry, diesel. So that's why if you enhance, if you go to the more purer form than the impure form, and if from that diesel, if you go to the most purer form, which is also from the kerosene, which is converted into the aviation fuel, which is the most energy intensive fuel, which will give you much more amount of energy. So that's why we have to play with their physical properties and thermodynamic properties. So which are the important physical property, we will not go into the detail. One is a true density, or actual density of the biomass, or apparent density, so which is a density because of its porosity and all. So what is a porosity, the bulk density and biomass density, all detail if you want to see, just go through the professor's slides and lectures. Thermodynamic properties are there, thermoconductivity, obviously how much heat it can conduct from one part to another part, or how much heat conductivity and electric conductivity it has. Specific heat, heat of formation, heat of reaction, heating value, ignition temperature. These are some important parameters. Why? Because we are doing the reaction with it, so we need to understand how much amount of heat it will form, how much amount it will be released when reaction will happen. So there is one question of the specific gravity of a fuel oil at 15.55 degrees centigrade is given as 0.893. Find the effective thermal conductivity. So this may be the, many people doesn't understand the questions, but if you go through the his lectures, then there is one correlation between the uh, moisture content as well as specific gravity and thermal conductivity. You can use this correlation. So here what we have, this is a temperature, this is a specific gravity which we have. We need to find the thermal conductivity in the unit of watt per meter Kelvin, and moisture percentage on biomass is 50%. So accepted answer is 0.36, and these are the two equations out of which you can use one of the equation. So this two equation, one equation is for the moisture content more than 40% and another is for less than 40%. So here we have 50%, so we can use this equation. So now just want to know, by after using this equation, what answer you got. Anyone, if you are here and you want to discuss, you want to put in the message box that you got the point 36 or not. I just want to know. Yeah, anytime you can come and you can leave the meeting. It's not up to you. Yeah, you can go for the recording version. So everyone know this. We can use this empirical relation for finding this problem, solution of this problem. And if yes, then you use this particular equation and you got the value or not. I just want to know. Yeah. So if you are using this equation, you will get the value 0.18, right? If you just use this equation and solve it out, then you will get 0.18 something. So actually, I have also doubt with that, because I am also not getting any answer out of it. So I just want to solve if someone got this 0.36, or maybe somewhere multiplication with 2 is there or not. So how we can achieve the 0.36. So in this particular second assignment, there are three questions which we need to discuss with the professor. So maybe hope so I will find some of his TA and I will ask these questions and answer from it. But I also got one another empirical relation in which if I put the answer, then I got the 0.36. But I don't want to discuss here that particular empirical relation, because I got it from some research paper and I don't know how much accurate it is. So now again I will discuss once with some of the from the professor's team, and I will, after that I will let you know maybe in the next week if I will get some answer from them. So if I used yeah, if I use this equation, I will get 0.18. If someone got 0.36, then just let me know how to do it, because maybe I am using the wrong equation then. But I found this equation only suitable for this calculation, and I am also getting 0.183 something. Okay. So anyway, you don't worry if you are not, if your answer is wrong or something in the assignments. We'll discuss, we'll clarify, and we'll hope so we'll get some answer from the TS. Now we go for the challenges in the conversion. So there is one question come from this. So what are the conversion of biomass to biofuel? There are some challenges obviously. If our biomass has too much amount of moisture in it, so we can't get proper conversion of biofuel, or we need to go for a dry biomass, or we have to remove the moisture content. And another is, if you have moisture content, if you go for the transportation, then also you have to spend a lot amount of money on that. Density also makes one problem, if our biomass has more density or less density. Complexity and diversity, if our biomass is too much complex, suppose it has too much amount of lignin and it is a very complex structure that you can't able to remove the lignin, so then how you can access to the cellulose and hemicellulose, and cellulose, if you can able to access to cellulose, then only you will get the glucose out of it. And another is recalcitrance. So what is a simple word, in the simple word you can consider is a resistance control or prevention of resistance. So how much it can able to control on its resistance and resolution difficulties. So out of it, the equation in the videos. Okay, so it is actually there. Maybe I can share you this. This equation is there in the video. He just glance to the equations. If you just go for the, that's why I am just telling you. You have to just read this enhancing the biomass properties of biofuel topic, and in this, if you are going, then there are physical properties. So he described the physical properties. After that, you will get the thermodynamic properties, and in the thermodynamic properties, The first property is the thermoconductivity, and in this these equations are mentioned. I took the screenshot of his videos only for getting the answer, but in that answer is somewhat differ. So anyway, that's why if someone didn't find the answer question, then it is there. You can look for it. If you still not find it, just let me know, I will send you. And success of using lignocellulosic biomass for biofuels and other useful chemical production depends largely upon the physical and chemical properties of the biomass, on pre-treatment method and optimization of processing conditions. So this is the question. And so for these challenges we need to do some pre-treatments, so we can lower down these challenges, and we can get physical and chemical properties according to our need. So the question is, the pre-treatment and hydrolysis efficiency of the biomass is greatly influenced by A and B. So where is it is mentioned. So in this challenges topic, he mentioned that compositional changes in plant cell wall and the differences in the ultrastructure greatly influence the pretreatment and hydrolysis efficiency of the biomass. So in our biomass, obviously all biomass has a plant cell wall. All the plant cells or cells in the plant, all the kind of biomass has a cell wall. So if the compositional change is there, or if it is ultrastructure, in ultrastructure means the what in the cell, if you go inside and then there are fibers and cellulose, so this may be its ultra structures. So if it is very much different, then it can be greatly influenced by the pre-treatment and hydrolysis efficiency. If in the ultrastructure much more amount of lignin is there, then you have to change the pre-treatment method. So this is how it is mentioned. And hydrolysis is a chemical reaction that releases sugars from biomass structures. So from biomass we are reacting with the water and we'll get the sugars, glucose and fructose and glucose, sucrose. Biomass resolution involves both physical, chemical and thermochemical treatment. Now we move to the, I am just mentioning this is not a very big part of the discussion of this week. Sorry, this is not week 2, this is week 3. So not a very big part of our discussion, my discussion, but I just take the important concept of the week 3 biorefinery, and most of the slides you will, if you use these slides, you will get the answer of the questions which is there in which are there in the assignments. That's it. I don't want to tell much more thing because the assignment deadline is tomorrow, so I can't tell you the all answers directly. But yeah, in this maybe in this week I am sure that there will be no much difficulties to understand the answer. Now once it will they will release the answer, we will again check that if this some like this time, if you are again getting some differences in their answer and our answer, so again we will discuss in the next class. So basic concept of biorefineries, refinery is, definitely we know that we are using refineries for the petroleums. Refine, that means we have to purify, so we are refining the petroleum crude oil and we are getting the many things out of it. We are getting the gaseous fuels, we are getting the liquid fuels, we are getting the solid fuels, or not solid fuels, charcoal may be using the fuels, but it's not that much useful. But yeah, we are getting the asphalts and resins, many things. So this is a refinery concept. Now why the similarity, you understand one thing, the petroleum products comes out of the earth, or in the form of the crude oil, in the form of natural gas, or in the form of coal, charcoal, anything. It is a reason for the ancient time, when our biomass got buried under the earth, and it was there for the high pressure and high temperature in the procession with high pressure and high temperature for a longer duration, it got converted into the petroleum products in or crude fossil fuels, if you can see. So same thing, biomass is there, we have biomass, but it is in the more it is not fully converted into the petroleum products. So our biomass but still has the same kind of structure. All the biomass has come for the organic molecules. So organic molecules are mainly consist CHO and S. Mainly this kind of chemicals are there, but C and H hydrocarbons are at very large amount. So somehow if we provide the energy or somehow with some chemical reactions, then we can convert directly this biomass into the hydrogen, bioethanol, bio kind of fuels, which we got from the petroleum also, and sometimes we are getting some chemicals which are polymers or some biopolymers or some chemicals which are used, which we can use for the many applications. That's why we can consider biomass as a biorefinery, similar kind of the oil refinery. Now, biorefinery is the separation of biomass into the distinct components which can be individually brought to the market either directly after separation or after further treatment. So, just focus into the this definitions also. Maybe questions are from the definitions. So, biorefinery is the transfer of the efficiency and logic of fossil-based chemistry and substantial converting industry as well as the production of energy onto the biomass industries. So, it's the transfer of the efficiency and logic of fossil-based chemistry. So, whatever the chemicals we have, we are converting or transporting into the some industrial based chemicals or some chemicals which from out of which we are getting the energy. So this is a one role. An international energy agency. So remember this international energy agency is bioenergy task 42. So they have one whole group of people. We are mainly working on the bioenergy task. Means they, they have many tasks in the one maybe particular group is working in the bioenergy task 42. They define biorefining as the sustainable processing of biomass into a spectrum of marketable bio-based products and bioenergy, and this is what is being widely accepted by the scientists. So International Energy Agency is working on many kind of energy sources. Maybe particular task force or task group is working on the bioenergy, and they define this biomass biorefining process as the sustainable process of converting biomass or biomass into a spectrum of the marketable bio-based products. So some products which we can sell into the markets and we get some profits out of it, or we can get some energy out of it. So this is a common definition which is accepted by most of the scientists. Now if you just see the in keywords, because here I didn't mention the somewhat so much outside information I don't want to give you. I'm giving the main information from the slides which may be useful for the assignments and which is the covering the main topic of this chapter. One is a biorefinery, which you need to understand what is the concept, facilitated processes. If you go to sustainable, then sustainable is a maximizing economics, minimizing the environmental aspects. So if you talk about the biomass, then our economics needs to be maximum, means our profit needs to be high. Our environmental aspects means emissions and other things needs to be low, or CO2 emissions or water pollution and other kind of pollution needs to be low. Fossil fuel replacement should be there. Socio-economical aspects may be there. Processing. Now in this biorefinery we have upstream processing, transformation, fractionation, thermochemical and biochemical conversion, biomass, crops, organic residue. This we all know. Spectrum, more than spectrum means more than one. So in this definition there are words are there marketable. So you need to understand the meaning of that words also. So market means already exist or expected to become available in the near future. It is if it is a marketable, when it is a profitable in the future. Products, both intermediate and final products, whatever we are getting in the processing in the intermediates, it is also products, and final also we are getting the products. Energies in the forms of fuels, power, heat. So this definition which we say from the International Energy Association, it will be most important, and every word has some meaning. Okay, so in short, biorefinery concept is sustainable biomass supply. If you have biomass supply, and it will be not like 1 month, 2 month or 3 month, it will be sustainable. You will get the all whole year supply of the biomass. Then you have to develop the pre-treatment technology, and this pre-treatment technology will separate the many parts of the biomass into the proteins, sugars, lignin, oils, fibers, and out of it, by using the various reactions, whether it is some chemical reaction, hydrolysis, pyrolysis, many kind of chemical reactions, and then you will convert either into the food, feed, some important chemicals, some materials, or some bioenergy. This is the basic concept of the biorefinery, but it needs to be sustainable biomass supply. Or and it needs to be circular economy. It's not like that whatever the biomass or renewable resources you take, it converted into this any kind of product. From it is come from here to here. So it is from the product, and from product also you will get by using this product, you will generate some waste. that waste needs to be again go back to the product, or it's go back to this process, or it again go back to as a biomass, or it is again if this waste can be reused as a products. Like if you can think that biodegradable plastic, so it can again that biodegrade, and again you can use it for the recycle, and you can again make the plastic out of it. So this kind of thing is there. So not only just here you have to think after products also, whatever the products you are manufacturing, once it will go into the services, then after using you will generate the waste, then that waste needs to be come back to the either into the renewable resources, or either into during in between the process or somewhere. So it needs to be no waste generation. So that is the whole concept of the biorefinery. You need to understand this. Now types of the biorefinery. So mainly classified the biorefinery are two different attempts are there. One is from the CAM and CAM, and another is a re and Envelic. So these are the group of the scientists. They classified this biorefinery into the different kind of setups. Like one is from the forest base, one is from the agriculture base. Suppose these are just for example. So they say they converted into the liquid phase catalytic processing biorefinery and forest based biorefinery. Now previous classification is in before that what are the classifications or existed. One is a raw material input. From the raw material we can convert it into the separation classified into the green biorefinery, whole crop biorefinery, lignocellulosic feedstocks biorefinery, marine biorefinery. Depending on whatever input product your biomass you are using, they have the name. Green from the some green algae or some green crops. It is already explained to the by the professor. We are not going to the what is a whole crop, what is a lignocellulosic feedstock, what is a marine algae and all. Status of technology. Another it is from the status of this technology, like how much developed the technology is. It is converted into first generation, second generation biorefinery, and from depending on the main products. So you know the some kind syngas is too much important product. So some biorefinery can give you the syngas, some give you the sugar, some give you the lignin. So it has the classification according to that. So you can see the conventional biorefinery based on the existing industries such as sugar and starch industry. The whole crop biorefinery use raw material as a cereals and or maize. So these are mainly from the Western world. The green biorefinery, what is a green biorefinery? So maybe questions are there in assignment, but you need to understand what is it. So uses natural weight biomasses. So uses nature biomasses, but it is in the weight biomasses, and it can give you the juices at after processing during the processing. So such as a green grass, uh, alfalfa, clover, and immature cereal. The two platform concept biorefinery includes sugar and the syngas platform. The lignocellulosic feedstock use a dry raw material and cellulose containing biomass. Thermochemical biorefinery use several technologies. Marine biorefinery use marine biomass, micro and macro algae from marine. The liquid phase catalytic processing biorefinery based on the production of functionalized hydrocarbons, biomass derived intermediates, and the forest based biorefinery which uses some chemical and feedstocks from the forest. Now if you see the marine and algae biorefinery, then I am just explaining you. So we have the in the marine or aquatic life we have microalgae as well as macroalgae. So depending on the size of the algae, IEA T42. Okay, where it is? If you find something unknown into the slides, IEA T42 biorefinery. Could you please explain this? It is there. It is there on the slide, or it is our assignment? Okay, that's why I deliberately didn't put the assignment topic here. So if I will explain, then eventually you will get the answer of it, na? So how can I explain the answer? So if you read to the professor's topics, now you will get to know what is IAT 42. Or it is actually it's not that much difficult to understand. Or maybe you can again you can mail me or message me. We can talk after this lecture. So currently I just want to finish the lecture because I don't want to waste the time of alls. And as we already instructed from our NPTEL team, where we don't have to directly discuss the things which is there into the assignments. If you don't able to understand the concept, but if I'm I have explained the concept, then eventually it will get, you will get the answer of it. That's why I'm not explaining right now. But yeah, still you have problem, then you just go through this professor professor topics, and somehow if you are not getting it anything from the professor's lecture, although everything is from his lectures only, then you can go to the Google also. You have that freedom. So actually this is a very if I will explain it, it will directly, you will get the answer of it. That's why I'm not explaining, but hope so. If you are still problem, then you can contact me. So this in marine micro and macro algae. So I just if you just use this aquatic biomass or microalgae, and you use sunlight, CO2 nutrients, and then it can convert it into the after the process of cell disruption and all, you will get the protein fraction, and that will be converted into products. Out of it, if you get the oil fraction, from the oil fraction you can extract the fatty acid purification, and oleochemistry, you will get the different products out of it. If you go to the transesterification of this oil, if you directly extract the oil and purify it, you will get some chemicals. If you go for the transesterification, definitely you will get biodiesel out of it, which all this will be come into the future discussions of how we will develop biodiesel, how we will produce the manufacture biodiesel and all. If you extract the minerals, and from that you will get the value-added products like iodine. Carbohydrate fraction, if you will ferment it, and you will get the fuels and chemicals. Now this is IAT 42. Unfortunately it is or fortunately it is there. So first of all, you have to understand IEA. I didn't know that I put that into the slide. Okay, so IEA is the International Energy Association T42, Task 42, nothing else. Okay, so which you all we discussed that they are defined in whole biorefinery as a one definition. So IEA 42 nothing is the International Energy Association's Task 42. They give new biorefinery classification approach. As you already saw, already seen the definition of it. So what is a marketplace and platform, product, everything we already we had seen. Now in that classification, they rely on the main four processes. Okay, oh sorry, features of the process. So there are many features we can consider of this whole biorefinery, but one is a we'll not go into the detail. We'll just see the one is the platforms, which we see that platforms are the final products. Platforms are the intermediates from which we are getting the final products. Another is the products. Third is the feedstocks, and fourth is the processes. So according to this four parameter, we are classify our all the biorefinery into different classification. That is the idea of the IEA T42. That's it. So who asked the question? You asked Sri. So you it's not any big complex thing. You have to just consider IEA 42. Nothing is International Energy Association Task 42. And what they did, we have the classification of the biorefinery on the basis of different things. Suppose if you have this is very easy, but yeah, if you want to classify the big cities in the India in the basis of four different things. So one is you can see the population is the one. Another is waste generation, you can see, and third is the let's say employment, and fourth is the GDP. So if you just four parameter, if you can classify the all the Indian states into the different features, then these are the main features we are just keep on in our mind. So like this task 42, they told that we have so many different kind of classification. So we are just focusing on to the four different major category. That's it, nothing much. Okay. So let's go to the and I don't want to discuss the what is the feedstock and products and processes. But if you just go for the feedstocks, then yeah, we know that feedstocks maybe again it is converted subdivided into primary, secondary as well as tertiary. So the renewable carbon-based feedstock for biorefinery are typically provided from four different sectors. We all know that: agriculture, forestry, industry, and aquaculture. Aquaculture is the marine. That's it. And this industry consists domestic also. Then municipal solid waste. Then biomass feedstock vary in composition with different shares of basic components. And you have to consider the three chemical elements: carbon, oxygen, and hydrogens are the important, and which are present in the larger amount in the biomass. Okay, so they may be useful for you to solve out some assignment problem. And other important characteristics are water content, heating value, and specific volume. So most important, if you just see the from the basic components, and three chemical elements are the carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Now if you again classify these main subgroups on the basis of technological aspects, then the mechanical and physical one is in that you whatever the physical operation or mechanical chemical uh, mechanical or physical operation you are taking, which are not changing the chemical structure of the biomass, that is a mechanical. Physical. Biochemical, you are using some microorganisms or some kind of microbes and enzymes. So this kind of things if you are using in your for your chemical reaction, then it is a biochemical. Another is a whole chemical process. It's fully chemical. You are using some chemical material for the hydrolysis. You can use water, but if you are directly put the water in your biomass, you will not get your hydrolysis reaction to be done. You have to be use it in the presence of acidic environment. So you can use H2SO4 as a small amount of H2SO4 as a catalyst, and then you do the hydrolysis. You will get final answer, final product. And this trans esterification is nothing but alcohol plus acid equal to ester plus water. So we have the acids available in our biomass. Alcohols mainly available. So we are reacting with acid, and we'll get the esters. Hydrogenation, oxidation, we have to use the more hydrogen, oxygen, that kind of thing. Thermochemical, now we are providing some temperature along with the chemical. We are providing the chemical which is useful to chemical reaction, but this chemical reaction is not like it will be taken care at the room temperature, so we have to increase the temperature. So that is comes under the thermochemical. It is a pyrolysis, gasification, some kind of chemical reaction which is doing at the higher temperature. So this is the another classification. And the organic matter, it's also classified into four main groups: carbohydrates, protein, lipids, and nucleic acids. So carbohydrates, we all know that, we don't need to go to the much detail, but as I told you, some are known as a monosaccharides like glucose and fructose. Sucrose is there, then it is known as a disaccharides. You have to remember these things. And if you go for the polysaccharides, then it will be the cellulose. If you use the cellulose, hemicellulose, all are the polysaccharide. Poly means they have long chains of sugar saccharides molecules, or sucrose molecule come to. No, it's not sucrose, it's saccharides. So it's whole structure of OH. We don't know to repeat one same information again and again. So glucose, fructose, monosaccharides, sucrose is disaccharides, and cellulose, hemicellulose are polysaccharides. And starch and inulins, if you talk, are the most important reason of polysaccharides. So if you have in your body, if you have starch and inulin, so from that you will get the cellulose or many other polysaccharides. Now, so is it like this? First is a cellulose, above it some hemicellulose, and out of it this red part is a lignin, and pectins are the chemicals which are used as a in between the our cellulose and hemicellulose material. It will be stay there. It has an amino acid basically. So this lignin is like red. The feasibility and energy demand for hydrolyzing the structure polysaccharides are essential parameter for the development of the second generation biofuels. So we have to hydrolyze the polysaccharides, I told you. So lignin, it's there. Lignin is a complicated structure. It is very rigid. It is not easy to this. You can see these are the fibers, but this red part is the lignin, and it is very difficult for separate it out from this polysaccharide mainly from the lignocellulosic biomass. And delignification requires some strong acid base or some reaction where you get this. Now biomass types, if you just want to classify, So we'll just take the lignocellulosic biomass. Again, we know that it's come from the cell. It has a more amount of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. It's come from the wood. Sugar-rich biomass, which has sugar, glucose, sucrose in it. Star-rich biomass, which is polysaccharides in it. Oil-rich biomass, which has oils in it. Rapeseed oil, microalgae, milk-algae. Protein-rich biomass, which we are using meat, and some oils which has a high amount of protein. If you have according to origin, then again and again, this is very common: agriculture, forest, byproduct, residue is aquatic. Not going into the detail. But now if we talk about, this is again about the biomass, and now again we go for the biorefinery. The biorefinery also from this agriculture, cereal, oil seed, green, lignocellulosic, forest, and industrial according to the nature of biomass. And if you talk about agriculture biorefinery, the feature is all types of waste generated from the agriculture it can take, and the product is methane, hydrogen, biofuels, energy, chemicals. It's very good source. If you go for the cereal biorefinery, use starch material mainly, and if you go for the bioethanol. Oil seed, then use oils, vegetable oils. Green, which is grass and green plants, from the bioethanol, you will get bioethanol. Lignocellulosic, you will use agriculture and crop, and you will get the again the bioethanol. Forest, you will use the forest sources, and you will get the chemicals material. Industrial, use methane, you get methane, hydrogen. Okay, so if you have any kind of precursor, there are many different kind of material you will get, and it is intersected also in one to the other. So I don't want to bore you more. So this is the last part of this, and this is the economic calculation. So as you can know that bio-based products has some economics calculation related to the capital cost, which has 20 to 30%. So for the investment of developing the production technology, we can use this 20-30% will go inside to developing the technology. 40 to 70% is a consumption related cost. So you can see that it may be the biomass and all you have to purchase, that is major part of your cost. 10 to 25 is operational cost, is which require the electric power, manpower, insurance, and out of which if you are selling out of it, so whatever profit you will get, it will come into the revenues, and that revenue sometimes it will be come from the subsidies, byproducts, and all. So this is a calculation procedure which is using by the for annual production cost of US dollar per annum. Now we have the estimation of the cost of biorefinery. If you want to set up the biorefinery, these are the costs we need to consider, and if you want to use the which are the estimation we need to take, then first is the supply cost, market price, competing non-energy market, preferences of farmers and woodland owners, success of alternative waste recovery and recycling, production cost, storage cost, distribution cost, and access to market. Now the last is the life cycle assessment. So what is a life cycle assessment? The life cycle assessment is the process where we are taking the life cycle assessment from the starting to the end of the whole biorefinery, from the establishing to the at the end of the final commissioning one, whatever the result product we are getting. So this is known as a life cycle assessment, and it developed from the ISO 14040 methodology. If you want to remember, you can remember, and it has a four goal. One is four steps. So one is a goal definition. What you have to goal, which kind of biorefinery you want to establish, what are your products, and what is your biomass, all things you need to understand. What is the environmental impact, how can you function, how can make the functional unit, what are the boundaries of the system. Then step 2 is the inventory data collection. So you have the, before jumping into the LCA, you have to, for your biorefinery, you have to just collect the data. You have to collect the data from the experiment. You have to someone else the same kind of biorefinery built before that. You have to take the literature data, some software you can use for that. Then impact assessment. This is important. You have to assess your impact of your biorefinery to the environment, like how much amount of waste is generated from my biorefinery, how much it is harmful to our environment, how much it is important to our environment. That is the impact assessment. You have to assess your impact, and the step 4, whatever result you are getting, it is a step you have to interpret it is. So we have the biorefinery. From that you have to finalize that, get what is your goal, what is your life cycle assessment you want to do. From that Out of that, the data collection, impact of assessment, and the result interpretation. And that also generalized way of the LC approach is biomass production chain. First we start from this input, what is the emission residues are there. After that we are getting the biomass, it will go to the biorefinery, what are the input, what are the amount of energy chemical we are taking here for the reactions, what are emissions from them, what are the byproducts are there, and what is the final products are there. And in each and every input also we can do the same thing. We can each and every step we can again in input also which kind of chemicals we are using, how it got manufactured, in that manufacture how much amount of emissions were there, how much byproduct residues were generated, how much waste was generated. Each and every step we can go into that much deeper if you want to go. And at the end I just want to conclude my talk, and this is my mail id. If you someone didn't note it, or if you want to note it, then note it. And this is specifically my mail id which I am using for this NPTEL. So, and I want to remember Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He mentioned that one of the very important characters of a student is to question. So you need to ask the question if you want to understand. But if you are not understand, so if you don't ask the question, that's why we are here. You don't have the access to the professor, but we are here so we can give you some answer. So with that, if you want to ask anything, you can ask me, or we can leave. Okay. So I think everyone is leaving, so I am stopping here. Is there any questions, or you can drop fatty acid greater than ester? Can you elaborate pulping, sir? Okay, so pulping and all. Wait, can you able to hear me first thing? Yeah, so I am with another system. So pulping, it's nothing but paper and pulp industry. There is a very high amount of biomass which we are getting because paper are made out of the cellulose. So it has a lot of amount of cellulose in it. So if you can use some chemical reaction in it, so it can be converted into the valuable products. But this all will be come into the very much detail into the upcoming lectures. So don't go into that much till now. Just understand, if you are not yeah, that is a good that you don't understand that terminology and ask me. But for pulping it will be in the much more detail into the upcoming lectures. So now you can leave this meeting, as I am closing it now. You don't need to complete the whole 2 hours. It is not a, if you have any questions then you can ask me, otherwise we can stop it. Or you can leave it directly. Sorry, actually my system voice is off. Yeah, you have any question?
Sir, is it possible for us to produce these bioethanol kind of products in a normal research laboratory facilities?
Yeah, it is possible, but uh, first of all, what you are doing, like you are doing research somewhere, or you are a student, BTech student, what are you exactly?
BTech students.
Okay, BTech students. So it's possible. It's not like that. It is very difficult if you have the chemistry lab or some excess of some lab where you are getting some chemicals. But if, I am suggesting, if you don't jump into the complex products directly, like biodiesel and all. Just start with the uh, things like convert into the fertilizer first. If you have some waste, like we have the biogas, gobar gas plant, something like that, na? So we have the biomass in our lab, in our home and all. What we are doing, we are just burning it down for a longer amount of time. Maybe in the 10-15 days you will get the fertilizer out of it. But for that also you have to put some microorganism in it. So you just first start looking up the video. Some videos may be available in YouTube. You will find definitely some videos. So out of it you will understand which kind of waste you want to use. So if you are using some fruit or vegetables in your kitchen, so how what is the procedure you have to follow? I can give you one example. If you just uh, start from the banana. If you have rotten banana in you with you, and if you have follow some procedure, then you will get some amount of energy value in the end of the that banana has some calorific value at the end. So it is like it converted into the biofuel, but it you have to use some chemical in between, and so you have to provide some procedures, some you have to provide some conditions, and then you will get it. But for that, first you have to start looking out of looking that kind of thing. So for that, you can two three things you can do. One is a YouTube videos. In YouTube videos, you also many videos are there in DIY, do it yourself, where you are finding this kind of how to make the manures and all. Other than, if you want just want to go for the biofuels, biodiesel and all, so you can start with the corn and all, but you have to do some reactions, chemical activities in between, and you have to provide some environment. The major thing is the environment, how you are put your biomass. So for that, if you need to read some simple papers, research papers, and if you want to read, maybe I will find some and I will send to you. You can, if you can mail me, or if you can message me, if I will find something, I because maybe where are you actually currently, in which university?
Shastra, sir.
Sastra means
Tanjavur.
in Tamil Nadu itself, na?
Yes, sir.
So in Chennai.
Tanjavur.
Tanjavur, okay. So wherever, but in your university, it is some access is provided for this kind of research paper download and all. It is possible in your university, like they are allowing you to download any.
Yes, sir.
So bus, that is a good
Yes.
thing. What you can start with. First, you watch videos, YouTube videos. I am only suggesting to start with the YouTube videos, which is a very simple and process, and as well as the chemicals also. You whatever you are using, it is a you will get it in your kitchen, and from that, just go to the research paper scale, where you can make your whole project out of it. So in the research paper scale, you can also contact me. You can drop a email or something. And if you find some research paper, you have to just go to the Google Scholar. There are many other ways. You can go to the Scopus Web of Science, and you will find the research papers. And that research papers, you have to just follow it. And for that, first of all, you have to do some minimal investment, and you have to make some kind of system where you are not allowing some oxygen from out to inside, inside to from outer environment to come here in your system. And other two three things you have to follow, and then at the end you will get some products. But it's not think that biodiesel and biofuel, like people are getting from the biorefinery, they are doing very high complex reaction and very high temperature. So if you want to achieve it, then some kind of furnace and some kind of instruments needs to be there in your lab, or in your in your city, where you can able to do it. Otherwise, we can go for the small simple kind of products, which will be helpful, and you can get to know many things out of it. So start with the slow thing, small thing, slowly, and at the end, if you will find the many things around you, you can go for a whole lot of project out of it. But be little bit innovative. Not do first start with the YouTube, but don't rely only on the YouTube. People are showing you, which is anyone can do. But first you have to for understanding purpose, you just focus on YouTube. Afterwards, you go to the research papers and patterns. So if you have any difficulty to find that, we can discuss it, and maybe I can also share some papers and this patterns if I will find. For that, I need to find it first, and then that may be the possible in your particular lab, and then you can follow it. And if you want to use you do your external some other projects out of it, you can do it. Otherwise, you can use it at your at a BTech project or some other kind of project. So that will be helpful for you, and you can do many more things, and then you can publish your research also. But first, start with the slow thing, and if you find any help, just let me know. We have to discuss out of it. First to start with the YouTube videos. If you find something, then you can drop a mail or message, whatever the things will helpful for you. But we can do it. It's not totally
Sure.
okay. Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So maybe you can leave. Leave the call to everyone, so you can take your dinner and have a good night.